Okay, everyone. Okay, this is my first time in the CineSkype where I'm not in the room. The first time where I'm also on the Zoom. So
Oh, wow.
very, it's disconcerting, but it works great. It's the first time I was able to see kind of what everyone else is seeing. We got a big group here. I think we have, how many do we have? We have over 50. We have 61 on Zoom. And how many people are in the room, Annie?
20, 25.
Oh, wow. Big group.
Great.
So welcome. And
Thank you.
And I have some questions. I'm going to start out with some questions, and then turn it over to students. But we were talking last night about just about how well you've been marketing this film and about audience engagement. And I'm wondering if we could maybe just lead with that. Maybe tell the students a little bit about kind of the journey of after the film was made, because film students don't often think about that. They're so focused on making stuff that they don't often think about kind of the life of a film after it's finished. And can you kind of the other thing, hold on, I'm totally interrupting myself. Can you change your chat, Annie, so it just goes to you and not to everyone, so we don't have to see everything? Just in case we've had, and so
it is sent to just Duane.
no, because I see it comes up, it says whoever to everyone. If you change it to just to it only goes to the host, I think.
Yeah, so I think, oh, I see. Is that here?
Anyway, so can you just talk about the journey, like
Yeah, do you want me to jump into my presentation?
Sure. Hey, she's also Annie, she prepared a little like slideshow to talk about this aspect of it. Can you set it up so she can share her screen? Do you know how to do that?
Let me see.
Do I just press the share button?
No, yeah, she's got to say allow. If you go to share
Okay.
screen, you have to say allow multiple people to share screen. And Annie, can you turn on your video so that we can see you too? And
Sorry.
I'm just giving Annie so many instructions here. Do this, do this, do this.
Oh, I guess I'm not sharing video.
Yeah, there you go. Probably want to turn your lights back on too. Not to be completely like, Annie, do it this way.
Is that okay?
Yeah, can you share now, Mye?
Yeah, let me try. I don't think it's enabled yet.
Okay, so does anyone know how?
There's a little arrow right by the share screen that you just go to, and it is allow multiple viewers.
This one? Okay, try now.
Oh, okay, that works. Now I have to go through some preferences. Hold on a second.
Yeah, you probably have to set up your computer to allow it. By the way, we generally ask the people in the room to let Mye know what they thought of the film. You guys enjoy it? There you go. There's some applause there.
Yep.
I thought it
I'm
was
trying
really
to
cute.
clap, but I'm trying to clap through my headset. It doesn't work very well.
Duane, do you want me to keep this pinned like this?
Yeah, just keep her pinned, because if she's pinned, then when it's recording, she's all that we see.
Okay.
So, and that has a few advantages. One, I'm not concerned about people on YouTube looking at our students.
Well,
Still not working?
this is not very simple. Security and privacy to grant access. Yeah, it's not very simple, but I don't know. It's too bad because I have a lot of pictures to share.
Can't make it work?
Fun stuff, huh?
You can't make it work?
No, it's not very simple. If anyone else out there knows how.
I think there's a, I think it just, you're on a Mac, right? You're on a Mac?
Yeah, it goes to, you know, I can share the desktop. I select share. It says open system preferences, security and privacy to grant access. When I open that up, it's just
Then-
not giving me the option.
Well, I think what you do, wait, hold on, would you like to apply a change? Because I've done this with others, is when you go to that security, I'm looking at it myself and I can't find it. Then there's a little thing where you have to unlock it and then you just click zoom and then you lock it again. Are you seeing that at all?
Oh, okay, click the lock, but it's not doing anything.
You click the lock, does it open?
No, it's not doing anything.
No. I was gonna say, why don't you share your screen so I could see it?
I know, this is terrible.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I think, can you select the little, there's there a thing in Zoom that you can select and then the lock gets activated or something? I feel bad because I know you worked hard to set that up today.
Well,
Duane, could you just email it to somebody and then we could use it?
Yeah, maybe.
who is able to share their screen?
I mean, you could just send it to Duane, right?
Yeah, maybe, but I'm on a sort of new computer, so I might have to, can you guys see my Zoom thing here? My emails here? Okay, yeah, email it to me, Mye.
Okay.
Meanwhile, let me ask you some other questions. Well, why don't you start, well, no, let's say that. Let me ask you some other questions while that's being emailed. All my questions have to do with the structure. Because as I was watching this, I think for the third time now, I was noticing things like you have about 7 different sort of main people that you focus on. Is that the count? Do you know how many there are?
Yeah, I mean, if it started out with 8 and then it became 9 if you count the
Chris.
the cop. Yeah, he's kind of a bonus. We weren't really expecting him, you know, to be a part of it, and then
Yeah.
it happened.
And
So
you
he's
kind
cop
of
number 9.
in a very interesting way, kind of introduce everybody at the beginning. And then you know, in that great sort of montage, which works a lot. I mean, a lot of your trailers is that a lot of your trailer just comes from your opening montage, which tells us that that is a very effective opening montage, but it also works as a trailer. And then you kind of start focusing on different people. You're always using David as sort of the, he's kind of the one with the biggest arc. You keep coming back to him. Then you also come back to the Bay Area couple with Zulu after they move and then the fire. But how long did that take? I mean, as you were shooting this and editing it, when did you start to learn how this was going to play out as far as structure goes and storyline and stuff?
Yeah, so all of that was very experimental. It was very trial by error. It was very the whole thing. I mean, the whole project was naive from the get-go because I thought this was going to be a quick and easy project. And none of it turned out the way that I intended. So really, it's just kind of getting all the ingredients and then trying to make the best meal that you can out of all these ingredients and what you're dealt with because of the pandemic and everything. So even the cast didn't end up being what I originally had cast. Things had changed. David's story got more complicated because we knew that he was high on the wait list to get into the shelter. So we just thought he was going to get into the shelter during, the duration of the filming, and then he'd be back on his feet, and that would perfectly go with the sort of more light and fun kind of tone that I was initially going after. So I think just the whole year of editing it and just like trying to put it together was just kind of like a mad scramble and just some things not working. I thought it felt too simple to kind of introduce each guy one at a time. And it's actually, I feel like, looked down upon in documentary filmmaking. But there wasn't another way to do it because everyone's they're also in a different city. And we played around with some things, and it just happened that we just needed to introduce everybody really quickly in the first few minutes just to get the audience to settle in and get like a glimpse of what they're getting. Because one of the problems we actually had in that opening montage was in the beginning, we didn't have very much of David and kind of like what was going on with him. And so when we were kind of testing it with some, friends and audience, one of the problems was that the audience didn't feel prepared for kind of the more serious tones that we were going to return to in the film. And so then we had to kind of make sure we reveal kind of like in the first few minutes, oh, he's in the hospital. Even though this seems like maybe a spoiler, it still felt like we needed to prepare the audience that, hey, this isn't just going to be light and fluffy stuff. Like this is, we have somebody in the hospital, we have there's some stakes here.
Yeah.
And so that helped. And that we didn't figure that out until, testing it with people, which we do a lot. Yeah. And so there just wasn't any other choice. I had a lot of times you see documentaries and it's usually 4 or 5 characters and they're cross-cutting between all these characters, right? And you're slowly getting to know them.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't going to work for this. And my idea was just like make it a collective portrait. And then all together, all the collective stories would then become one. I didn't really know how or what that would be or look like. But then as we were going, we kind of found all these other threads, and like we returned back to some of the the issues and things that were just in the air, such as the housing affordability crisis. I mean, that was in the air the entire time that I was doing these interviews. It was a concern for these men because a lot of them live in apartments, and or you have David who's living on the street, but the other men were living in small apartments and they just need more space. And I just wasn't like prepared for that, but we kind of leaned into it because that is, it becomes more than a movie just about cats, right? It's about these men, and it's about, what they want and what they need. And I think it also becomes a film about, what kind of men do we want to cultivate in our society? And we're going through, it was a tough year, going through election year. It was, I was editing all this during that time. And so it was really just, a lot of the emotions in the film are coming from me. And it's just like what I was feeling in the air. if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes great sense.
And that just sort of informed the edit. I mean, would we have included Jeff and the fire in Boulder Creek had we not filmed with the firemen in South Carolina? Probably not. It wouldn't have seemed relevant. But then at the time, we had already filmed with Flame the Arson Cat. So it's like, it just felt relevant to show, you know, kind of the other, you know, what they were going through during that time, and how their cats, you know, really, how cats really help us in hard times.
Excellent. Well, I'm downloading your thing now. Well,
Okay.
it's almost done, but I want to ask another question. It's about a real specific, edit, and it's with Jordan, right, the firefighter, and they're talking about when he found Flame, and he's talking about hearing the cat outside. You put in the sound of the cat, and you have a shot of him, and he turns, and then you have a shot of the sort of side of the firehouse with the coats, and then you have a shot of the garage door opening up, all sort of just created. And I just wanted to say that was really cool. You know, I didn't notice it until like the third viewing.
Oh, thanks.
But
again, that's,
I'd love to hear about
that's part of,
just making
well, it's
that.
funny because it when you watch it, it feels like almost a recreation, like a dramatization, like you see in like True Crime doc or whatever. They're like reenacting something. But we didn't have that in mind when we were shooting. We literally just, this is how naive I was. We just shot a bunch of stuff, like just a bunch of stuff. Didn't know where we can use it, and then part of it, I don't remember if it was me or Dave, if who gets credit for that portion, but we just sort of like put it together. We were just sort of like, you know, just taking all these little pieces and trying to make it feel like a reenactment when it wasn't shot that way.
Well, it's just a great moment. He turns, and so often you can find a moment like that and just use it for something totally unexpected.
Yeah,
and it's
totally. Like, I think Dave even calls it cheating or something. Like,
it's a total cheat.
Yeah.
Cool. As my advanced students would know, it's a Kuleshov thing. But let's see if I can open this now. I've got it downloaded. What is this in?
Oh, it's Keynote.
I don't have Keynote.
Oh no.
This is, can you export it as a PDF?
Just comedy of errors here.
Yes, sure.
Sure, yeah, let me see.
It's been going on for a while. Annie and I, this is the sequel to what Annie and I had before this all started. So before CineSkype started. So it's been a rough night. Not to mention the fact that I, left you in Los Angeles around 10 p.m. last night, and somehow I got to Pittsburgh in time for CineSkype.
would
Well,
you like a question from our audience here?
Yeah, should we just move on to questions, Maya, or do you want to keep trying with this? I think you put a lot of time into it.
I mean, I want to, but it's not. Hold on, give me 1 second here.
You want to see it?
Well, you know, I threw it. The other reason why I threw it together is so many people are asking me for this information, so I figure why not
Let me preface
together.
it. Yeah, while you're doing the PDF, let me preface this, because if you get on Cat Daddies on social media, if you follow Mye at all, it seems like this film has played at festivals for like every weekend for a year. It just seems like, and I know for a while it was, and now it's in theaters, and it's a very independently sort of supported theatrical run, and so Mye's had to do a lot of the work herself, and she's just very good at it. And she has a background in film festival promotion. I mean, you were a director of a film festival. I mean, so you've done a lot of that on your, from that side. Plus you've done it, with previous movies a lot. Hey.
What's your cat's name?
Oh, did I? That's Rooster. So over the summer I had some foster kittens, and Rooster comes from so they were named after the Top Gun Maverick movie. So I had a kitten named Maverick, I had Iceman, I had Goose. But anyway, I ended up keeping Rooster and Goose. So that's why his name is Rooster.
A cute cat.
Lily, a cat named Goose. My son had a cat named Mouse for a while. I just thought it was such a funny name for a cat.
So I'm gonna send it to you now.
Okay, while this is coming to me, Annie, why don't we go, and I'm uploading it and stuff. Why don't you go ahead and have somebody ask a question?
Come on.
Hi. Oh, sorry. Let me just. Hi. I'm Aaron.
Hi.
I'm a senior here at UVU, and I'm in the writing track. But currently, I'm in a couple producing classes. And as I was watching this and kind of reading a couple articles about this movie, I noticed that you're a producer, and like securing funding is really important, right? But being that this is your first documentary, how is the transition from pitching narrative films to pitching something like this to an investor?
The difference between, I don't know that there's that much difference to the investor. I would say, boy, that's a tough one. I would say there's not too much difference, because I think people who are investing, they're investing in you.
Yeah.
Almost more than the project itself. I would say maybe like documentaries is a little bit harder because there is no script, right? And there's no map for them to see. And even if you have the storyline, like in my case, things can change. So it's very unpredictable. So I say that would probably be the biggest difference. Whereas like if you're pitching something in a certain genre that somebody loves, right? That's gonna be easier a little bit. And I think like narrative is like it's a little sexier to
Yeah.
people and people who want to invest. I say documentaries is more about whether you can reach their heart,
Okay.
and it's all about, are they passionate about what you're passionate about? If you're making something about um, animals or healthcare, or something, some kind of, if they're into the subject matter, I think that that can drive it. But I think for the most part, investors really want to invest in you and your passion for whatever it is that you're pitching. I think that's some of the people invested in my movie. Actually, most of the people invested, even the Kickstarter backers I had, they were not cat people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and some of them were not animal people at all, or some of them were actually dog people, and they were quite generous. Um, so that's very surprising to me, but I think it's because of my track record, or because just who I am, and I think their investment was in that more than like the subject matter.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much.
Um, did the PDF work?
Oh, Duane, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted, Dwayne.
Annie, can you ask one question from the room and then one from the online? But let's go to the PDF now. But just keep checking that chat. And I see Micah raised a hand, which is not how we do it. Put your name in the chat, Micah. Okay, I'm open. Let me share my screen. Figure this out. Where am I? There I am. Share screen. Preview. Yay!
All right. Well, I just threw that one up first for fun. Yay.
All right.
Okay.
Did you say beep and I'll move, or just tell me new slide or whatever.
Okay, so actually, unfortunately, there are some other images embedded in the slide, which I guess we can't see because it's a PDF, but basically, you know, just to start out, my first job ever was at a movie theater. So I'm very, very much a cinephile, very nostalgic for this. I worked kind of every position in this old Art Deco movie theater in Dallas, Texas. And the other images that you can't see that are within this slide, unfortunately, are images from my film festival life. So I went from working at a movie theater to going to college, studying film there, starting my own film festival in my town of Dallas. It's called the Asian Film Festival of Dallas. And for the next, I don't know, decade, I was working within film festivals as a programmer, as artistic director, which means I'm not just curating movies, but I'm also putting the show on. I have to introduce the films in an entertaining way. I have to run Q&As, moderate Q&As with the filmmakers. I'm running around helping design program books. I'm, you know, a lot of marketing, a lot of putting up step and repeats, putting up just all kinds of stuff. Sorry I can't show you, but the reason why I wanted to include those photos is because this is going to, well, unbeknownst to me at that time in my 20s, this was all going to play out, you know, 20 years later. So I guess you can go to the next slide. So fast forward, okay. I'm living in LA. I'm working survival jobs. I'm working in an office in marketing, actually, for a toy company. And in 2019, for a number of reasons, I finally make the decision to quit that office job. And I'm going to work for the production company I currently work for. And it's almost like a freelancer life because I just have to hustle to get gigs and jobs, and then that gives me the flexibility of time and to work from home so that I can work on my creative projects like Cat Daddies. And you know, also fast forward, this is after me making short films, producing features, blah blah blah. Okay, so we can go to the next one. So I just want to show you a picture, an example of what really pays the bills. So this is just an example of some commercial work I did for a toy company. And it's interesting because this toy company is also going to come up later in the show. But this is just to give you an idea because people are always wondering, like, what is it, what filmmaking obviously does not pay anything really unless you're lucky or unless you are in a sustainable career or studio work or something, right? So what really pays the bills? And so I had to come up with a few commercial clients a year that pay well enough that I have more time to be working on my creative projects. So in this case, it's making commercials, product photography, and all of that. So remember this Mr. Altoy, and we can keep going to the next one. Okay, so 2019, quit my job. 2020 rolls around, and as we know, it was not a good time for commercial work. All of it dried up. I'd already started filming the movie. I was in the middle of filming the movie. A lot of travel, a lot of stuff was happening, got postponed. So that was not a good time. And all the commercial work that we had just dried up. So I was on unemployment that year. So I guess we can go to the next one. Okay, so fast forward again to 2021, finished my movie. But now the work has just begun. This is where more of the work comes in. I would say I'm putting in more work right now getting my movie out than actually making the movie. And then we can go to the next one. Okay, so finish the movie in early 2021, start submitting to festivals. Way too late for Sundance, way too late for South by, all the ones that you want to get into. Didn't get into Tribeca or some of the other ones that, you know, generally you would try to get into. At the same time that year, we were not back in person and a lot of festivals were virtual. So my world premiere, Dallas International, which is also my hometown, which is a very pre-pandemic, was a very, very large and reputable film festival. This was awesome because not only is my hometown, but I got to screen at the Alamo Draft House, which is like every filmmaker dream. Is probably the best presentation of my movie, sound, picture, everything that I may ever have. It's just incredible. Packed the house. 2021, it's October, still in pandemic, so it was still hard to get people to come out to the festival. By total surprise, ended up winning the audience award there for documentary. And then I went on to win awards at the next 3 festivals it was in. So Dallas ended up being a great launching point. You know, it's not the top tier festival that everybody thinks you have to have. But it was quite a good start. So we can go to the next slide. Another festival, the next festival I went to was Tallgrass Film Festival, which is great. And it's, as you see in the top, regional film festival in Movie Maker's Top 50, worth the entry fee. I love this festival. It has one of the best hospitality I've ever been to and a reputation for giving out cash awards and a lot of support for being stubbornly independent. This is a way more independent film than many, many others that you've heard of. And it's in Wichita, Kansas, of all places. But my screening there, which was like the second screening ever, was sold out. Then they added chairs, and then they sold out again. And then I won an award. And then I was noticed and recruited by an international sales agent there, or the film was. And then I was invited back. And this year I got to go jury and speak on a panel about distribution. I did not have a slideshow, but you get the drift. You can go to the next one. And all of a sudden I was doing press. I was making TV appearances. This is just one in Sydney, Australia. Even though the movie wasn't playing in Australia, somehow they picked, after the first launch of these film festivals, they somehow heard about it and reached out to me and wanted to talk about it. So you can go to the next one. So again, press, it's just like and while I'm doing press, and there's all over Zoom too, so I'm also having to like try to make things look good and try things make more interesting. So that's why I'm holding one of my kittens in the Zoom interview, and yeah, it's just a ton of work, and it just keeps going. And you can go to the next one. More film festivals. I just wanted to mention that, for the, there's so many great genre and niche film festivals that people don't think about. One of my favorite film festivals was this Doc Film Festival, Big Sky, in Missoula, Montana. And it was so great. There was like 200 people, this gigantic theater. They brought out a famous local shop cat, introduced the film. The cat walked on stage. The cat posed with fans after the movie. The local shop promoted the screening to their social media followers. Just a great festival. Best hospitality, great audience, so many things to do. I had so much fun. This is one of my very favorite festivals. The top picture, you can see my husband came with me, and I made him wear a cat head and pass out cat treats to audiences. Just a little something extra to make people excited to be back in person. We were just doing everything possible. And, as you can see, I was handing out mini posters and all kinds of stuff. just to make great pictures and to really work, our social media to create content, so that people don't get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. Especially since I traveled to, at least 25 film festivals. So, and I just want to mention, some of the best experiences can actually be from these film festivals that you may have never heard of. Okay, you can go to the next one. Okay, so then another festival down the line, I did San Francisco Indie Fest. It's just kind of a festival of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's very, very stuff that's very, very indie, and it just stuff that is gonna just be, I don't know, it's gonna be super cool stuff, right? Anyway, the Roxy is known for being like a super cool theater with like super hip, people, and they show edgy things, or they show a lot of cat stuff too. And so we had a great show, great press, had the largest turnout in the entire festival, and this also launched a sponsor relationship. So it was at the screening where CEO of a cat brand just happened to be there, and she reached out after the screening, but I was there for Q&A, and I don't know if it's because I was there for Q&A, but for whatever reason, she felt like she needed to reach out to me, and she emailed me, and she said how much she loved the movie, the experience, how much fun she had, and she said, how can we help? So I said, let me think about this. And nobody ever does that, but she did it. So this was like a miracle, like starting to happen here. We also won the audience award, and we got an open invite from the Roxy Theater to play theatrically in the future, right? So that again was awesome. But over 30 festivals and 1 year later, we still had no New York premiere. So I was not satisfied with this. And I spent almost half of the movie filming in New York, and we really wanted to give David, who can't travel, kind of the full experience of seeing it with an audience. And so I was just determined to get that New York premiere, even if I had to do it myself, because we weren't getting into any festivals there. So next slide. Okay, so yeah, so I'll just do NYC myself. I just decided this one day. I'm not gonna wait on any more festivals. We're just gonna do it. So if I'm gonna do it anyway, I decided I'm gonna pick my dream venue, which is the MoMI, which is the Museum of the Moving Image. And using all my film festival experience, I just it was just like putting on my own film festival. I just put on my own show. I figured out how much the venue was going to cost, how much I should sell the tickets for, how many tickets I need to sell, all these things. And then I decided to ask the CEO that I met, who said, how can we help? I decided to ask her. I said, I'm trying to do the screening at NYC. Can you help me? So next slide. And she did. And so this is, I worked with the Flatbush Cats Rescue featured in the movie. We set this up as a fundraiser for them. The sponsor underwrote, which is, you can see Meowtel there, underwrote the event. So then I didn't have to worry about, I need to sell X number of tickets to break even. And then we also had a couple other sponsors, like, give us product, to do giveaways, all this stuff. So that's our screening at the MoMI. And you can go to the next slide. And it was great. So as you can see, I put up a slide during the Q&A. It has the sponsor logo. I'm putting up, follow us at Cat Daddies Movie, all this stuff. It's it's all part of the branding. It's all part of this is all coming from my work in film festivals, and all the things that I've learned from doing that, and what it takes to get people in the seats. And it's all about creating an experience. It's not just showing up at a movie and then it's over and you go home. It's we bring people together, we do giveaways, we bring the cast in. In this case, most of the cast was in New York, and then I think we flew in the stunt guy from Atlanta. I picked out a filmmaker that I love from the film festival circuit, and he did an amazing job moderating. So it's more than a screening. Like, we're putting on a show, all these little details, and people see that, they notice this, and we're giving them things like there's a little gold kitty by the podium. I mean, we're giving people things to get excited about, take pictures, maybe they share it. They like talk about it, right? Social media, at least because it's also about cats, was very, very important to us. You can go to the next one. So we do this again. We do this again and again. I work with nonprofit groups. We're doing fundraisers for them. I'm not making any money from this at this point. This is just building our audience, right? And just getting the movie out there so that people are talking about it. In this case, this organization was called Little Lion, so we happen to be able to get these lion heads, and so that's why it's a lion for their organization, and we were able to raise a lot of money for them. Next slide. I even did merch. I have more merch than I can show you, but I wanted to show you these cat bandanas I had made. And you're probably wondering, well, how do you even afford to do all this? Well, in this case, this is a bandana that is made by the company. If you remember the owl in the beginning of the slideshow, that company, which is my client, very generously made these bandanas, like several hundred, for me for free. And then we gave them out at screenings. I put a sticker on the back. I asked people to tag us. I told them this is a bandana challenge. The challenge is to get your cat to wear it to promote the movie. And then people were sending me photos from all over the world with their cat wearing the bandana, and I kind of like have like it in my Instagram highlights, and I always say, I tag them back, and I'm like, thank you, thank you, and if I know their name, I'll call out their name. Again, it's just like out of the box marketing, and at the same time, it's other people creating content for me to share. So there's really a lot of stuff going on here. So, and I also sell these also now in the online shop. Probably not going to make a lot of money off of it, but again, it's marketing, and I think that's more valuable than kind of like the cash profit or whatever you can make. Keep going to the next one. Okay, so had this great festival run, and based on that festival response, just the audience reaction and just everything that was happening, we decided that we were gonna go, you can go to the next slide, we're gonna go and launch theatrically. So made the decision in the summer. First chance we could get was to put it out in October. And I also want to mention that, leading up to this theatrical, is that the sales agent that we had, which I mentioned, sold the film to a couple foreign territories and a North American distributor. My North American distributor is taking all the rights except for my theatrical. So my company put together a team to do what we call self-release theatrically. So based on, I needed to raise more money. It's very expensive to do a theatrical, and that's why most filmmakers don't want to do it. But I was very fortunate because we had that screening at MOMI with the sponsor, and they were so happy with it. They weren't even there, but I documented it really well. I hired photographers. We made a video of the Q&A. We put it on YouTube. I had all these things to show how successful it was, and they were thrilled. And so I was reluctant to ask them, but when I did ask them if they wanted to be an exclusive sponsor to help me get this movie out theatrically, they were totally on board. And I mention that because to kind of demonstrate, like, it's all about relationships. Whether it's marketing your movie or whether it's like trying to make a movie, it's all comes down to these relationships. And there's building blocks. So it's not like if I had just met her and I asked her for $80,000, I don't think I would have gotten it. But I had a track record, and we had a small event. We had one event that cost a few $1,000s, and they were very happy with the results. So it's small steps, right? Over time. And so that's what happened. And because of that money, I was able to do P&A, which for those of you who don't know, but you'll hear it a lot, it stands for print and advertising, which is what you need to kind of get your movie out there. Even movies that don't do theatrical and they just go digital, you also need P&A if you can. I mean, it helps. So the picture you see on the side is a 6-foot standee that's in my house. And that was paid, I made a few of them, and that was paid for by the sponsor, and it was in theater lobbies. And the hard truth is that the cost of this theatrical release is going to end up being 2 to 3 times the cost of making the film. And I just want to mention that because you should know that it's really about marketing more than anything else. Do I suggest it for everybody? No, but you probably see through most studio movies, I mean, you see the spend that they have and what they have to do and how much they have to spend. I mean, it's in the millions, right? For every movie that they put out there to get the billboards and ads and all that stuff. So we have it's a very small budget, but it's a lot more than it costs making the film. So we opened theatrically in New York just recently, and we ended up opening with the 3rd highest PTA in the country. PTA stands for per theater average. So on one screen, we did better than a lot of other movies on that per theater average. And we are still in the theaters, and we're still doing box office. And so far, we've made 45,000 so far, and it's still going. And you can go to the next slide. I'll try to go faster. Example of what the P&A money went for. I don't even want to tell you how much it cost, but we did these ads around New York in these kind of like digital billboards. They're just all over the city. And then you can go to the next one. We spent it on cab ads called Taxi Toppers. And, we incorporate the sponsor logo into everything that we did. Even though it's very tiny, it's there. And so that helped justify the costs. And you can keep going to the next one. So we did a red carpet, just like we do at film festivals. Again, like this is all to sort of fulfill what the sponsor would like, which is having their logo on the step and repeat. And they also flew the CAT Dads out to be with us in New York for the opening weekend. Some of the cats, as you can see, also joined us. It was really awesome. I got to fulfill everything I wanted to do, and somebody else paid for it. And I guess you can go to the next one. We even had this is not my husband, but another guy in the cat outfit and meeting one of the that's Zulu in the film. That was a lot of fun. You go to the next one. Again, just showing, we're putting on a show. We got signage, we got, we're giving up light up cat ears. You can go to the next one. And so that's what we did. And it was great for photos and just spreading the word. And you can go to the next one. That photo ended up being on Good Morning America's website. And all of this is serendipity. Met somebody from Good Morning America at the after party. He hadn't even seen the movie, but he was at the after party and he saw these photos, and I was talking about the movie and he got excited, and so we got some press out of it. And you can go to the next one. And we did it again. Next week we did it in LA. We did the same thing. And you can go to the next one. And again, and we just go city to city, and we're doing it all and trying to refine it. And so where am I now? The last slide is just, I'm in never-ending marketing. Our theatrical continues through February. We are also doing theatrical worldwide in Taiwan, Poland, Canada. We have a TVOD release in February. I'm also getting ready for the DVD physical media. I'm creating a bonus feature for the DVD called Where Are They Now? So I'm back to editing, still working on this movie. And then my goals for next year are to find a job, or I get to do this all over again. So this kind of peek into my world of getting my movie out there is information that so many filmmakers are asking me for right now. So that's kind of why I also threw this together. But yeah, you guys get a very rare look into my world.
Well, we appreciate it. That was awesome. Oh, I'm muted. No, I'm not. You can hear me. So awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And again, I mean, it's so unlikely. I mean, in my mind, that's the hard part. That's the hardest thing on me is getting out there. And I mean, as soon as I'm done with the movie, I just want to make another one. I don't want to go on the road and meet people and make posters and shake hands and all that stuff. And I mean, it's satisfying when it happens, but there's so much work to leading up to it that it's hard. Anyway, we've got a lot of people with questions, I'm sure. Annie, why don't you take over and start moderating those questions? How are you holding up, Maya? Are you
Good. Yeah, I say, like, most filmmakers I meet also don't like doing this stuff. And I understand. But I
Right.
think that I was kind of trained well early on. And so, and I, like I said, I'm a cinephile. I want so much for people to see my movie as I intended, with the surround sound, and, we shot it in 4K. So it's really important to me. And also just, when you have a cat film, the communal, aspect of it just can't be replaced. The reactions that we get from the audience is just really special.
Excellent.
It's not for everybody though. That's for sure.
That's it. So excited to get cats. Okay, so Jason Ingebrigtsen, you want to ask your question?
Yeah. So first off, love the film. It was awesome. Grown up with cats my whole life and been a reluctant cat lover. Always said I like dogs more, but honestly, yeah, cats are awesome. In general, as a producer on other stuff you produce as well, including this film, I mean, aside from trying to get funding for the project, what are some of the other obstacles that you run into when trying to produce something?
I think, gosh, pretty much everything. I'm trying to,
I guess what are some of the big ones, or maybe one or two that you never would have expected you run into in your career and trying to get something produced?
Are you more into narrative or doc?
I'm kind of split between both.
Mm-hmm.
I can lean one way or the other depending on what I've seen most recently.
I can say like obstacles. Gosh, I mean, there's so many. I don't know what can. I think, the biggest one is just like making it sustainable, and I think that's the biggest, because there's like there's so much time in between projects. But I'm also in the indie world. I mean, if you get into more of the studio world, I would say then the obstacle is just like too much work, really. But a lot of it, I don't know, like a lot of it, I usually don't work on union projects. It's just like it just doesn't jive with who I am. I'm just very stubbornly independent and I want to do things my way, and I don't want to, you have to collaborate a lot and you have to work with so many people. And I definitely learned that I'm more of a doc person now than a narrative as far as producing and directing, because I want to be with a smaller team and I want to handpick the team that I'm with. And I just think that, for me, smaller productions is better. The smaller, the better. I'm definitely that type of person. But there's some producers who feed off of working on sets that have hundreds of people, and they love it.
Oh yeah.
And I just learned, I think, through this process that that's just not me, and I'm a lot happier with a smaller team.
Right on. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
All right, we've got audience question here.
Hello, I'm Rachel. I'm almost a senior here and I'm in the post track. So my question is about the editing process and how you kind of decided what order to introduce the cat dads and why.
Yeah, so I always envisioned starting with Nathan the cat lady. I just think he's such a great spokesperson, right? And he's easy on the eyes, and he's just kind of a good hook to get people in. But then, this was a difficult movie to edit because tonally it changes a lot. And so I think and then we had David's story, which had to stay linear, but the other guys didn't have to. So we could kind of mix it around for the most part. And so it was really just emotional choices. Just going from Nathan to the next guy, who I believe was Zulu. Zulu, and just, they were talking about trying to find a bigger place to live, then going into David's story in New York, and coming out of that, trying to get kind of into a happier story, but like it couldn't be too happy. So then it kind of made sense to go to the firefighters. So that's it was sort of the ebb and flow of it, and it was just emotional choices.
Yeah, I thought it had a really great balance and I really loved it. So thank you for coming and talking to us.
Thanks.
All right. Aaron Stock.
Hi,
Hey,
thanks so much. Again, this was great. I loved it.
good.
My wife asked, I was telling her about this project or this show, and she's like, "When's it coming on Netflix? I want to see it." So you got more audience. My
Cool.
question, I'm just curious because I was so reading up on you a little bit. You primarily come from like a producing background, but this is one of your first like directorial projects. And so I just wanted to kind of see what your thoughts are, what you felt about the balance between like being a producer, but also being like a director, and like the balance you have between like a creative storyteller and then also like the creative work a producer does.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, is this coming from, like, tell me a little bit more where this question is coming from.
Yeah, so I'm currently working on my
Something
capstone
behind
project.
it. Uh-huh.
And I am I've always wanted, like throughout my schooling, I've wanted to be a producer, so I've kind of gone that way. But during this capstone project, I've worked a lot in like the development of the story and kind of more of like the, I guess, the storytelling side. And so I've just kind of been curious how other filmmakers balance that in their own heads, but also also see like the
Gotcha.
different roles that they play. I don't know. Does that help?
Yeah, I actually don't think there's that much difference. In some ways, there's not that much difference because both the producer and director are going to have creative input. I will say that I think I'm a oh, my cats are fighting. I think I'm a terrible producer and I don't like it. But people keep telling me that I'm a good producer and that I should keep producing. And I've also heard the saying that producers that say they hate it are good producers. But I don't really, yeah, I do it as a necessity, really, because like I have to, because like I want to help somebody make this project happen, and I have whatever tools or connections to help make it happen. And that's it. And I think with directing, you definitely have to be really passionate about the project. You're going to live with the project, I think. Well, I mean, yeah, you're going to just have to live with the project. Producers can move on to the next, project, but as a director, you're going to be living with it for, way longer. Like my producers on this project, they're already working on other things, and I'm still here with it and trying to get it out there. But a lot of people think that producers don't have any creative input or influence on the director, but they have quite a bit. I mean, I think they're the first sounding board for the director. I actually think also, I don't know if this is going off topic, but I think to be a great director, I think being a great editor helps a lot. But as far as the balance, it's not any kind of balance I'm choosing. It's just sort of like, it's just doing what needs to be done and jumping on opportunities as they arise. But it's not premeditated or balanced well. I don't know if that answers your question, but at all. But
Yeah. No, yeah, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
I've got one coming down.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I
Hi.
was just thinking, I'm a post student here at UVU, and just reflecting on your intro, I kind of wanted to know the story behind that. Like, did that idea come, as he was playing with the cats, as far as like the music score, or did that, happen in the
Oh, Yeah, that was actually a reenactment of something that he did on Instagram.
Okay.
And a lot of this movie was trying to capture and kind of like almost like a preservation project of like kind of immortalizing these cats, in 4K and for the big screen. And so I just, he had made this video using that song, and I just thought like, I want you to do this again. Can you just do this again so we can capture it? And I wasn't really sure if it was going to work, but I thought, this might be a good intro to the movie. Because it's just so weird and it's so cool. And it's like, I think, yeah, I mean, and at that time it was also a different project too. Like the whole thing had a very different feel. So we did it, and we had to do it in one take, because once the cats finish eating, they're done, right? So the challenge on that was to just get it in one take, and we did 2 cameras running at once, and then it was my idea to cross cut it with into montage. But yeah, thanks for the question.
Yeah, thanks.
Maya, and I want to say, when they say they're a post student, it means they're studying post production. It doesn't mean they've graduated.
That's what I figured.
Okay. Ethan Hawkins, do you want to ask yours? Maybe not. Okay. Colin? Oh, that wasn't a question. That was a comment. He said, I really want a cat now. Addison?
Sorry, huh?
Oh, Addison had a comment too.
Oh, no. I just mentioned that we had a cat when I was a kid and that I completely forgot about until this movie.
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh,
And now I miss her. I miss her, so thanks. I have not spared a thought to her in so long.
Mm-hmm. What was her name?
Kuching, which is
Aw.
literally Malaysian for cat.
Aw.
Although I do kind of have one question.
Mhm.
I don't know if is Dave okay? The homeless guy?
He's as okay as he can be. He's still fighting cancer. He's still in the same shelter. He Lucky is mainly with the lady in the movie, his foster mom. He visits on the weekend. He needs to stay in the shelter to be close to the hospital during the week. He's still really, really struggling. But when he says Lucky is his best medicine, he's not kidding. I mean, I think that's the only thing keeping him going, because none of the doctors understand. They don't know how to continue treating him. They don't really know what's keeping him alive. It's actually very, very surprising. It's been 2 years since the end of the movie, and as you saw from the slideshow, he was at the New York opening, and that was great. And we did a bunch of Q&As with him, and it was very powerful. We didn't think he would make it this long, so it's really special. Thanks for asking.
Also, I guess I have another thing. I don't know if this is just me completely forgetting details that have already been said. What was it like going from stuff like The Man from Reno or You Will Be Mine to doing this? Because to me that seems like not even just pitching it, but like it seems kind of jarring to go straight from those to this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not any kind of premeditated career path or anything, quite honestly. Those other movies I was a producer on, and I was working with friends. It was really just projects where I'm working with friends. I want to help the directors succeed. In those cases, those 2 films had that Asian American aspect of it. And I've been involved with a lot of, Asian American films. So up until that point, that all made sense. And then Cat Daddies doesn't quite make sense, but that's me in the, it's just me directing and following something I love, and something that an idea or something that's just nagging me. I was actually not intending to direct ever again. I had made an Asian American feature in the past. I had done short films. I didn't see myself as a director any longer. I started to feel like I'm just going to produce. I'm just going to be a producer and try to keep working with my friends. And but this came along. It was just an idea. I just found a way to do it. I found a way to raise the money. It was just something that I was passionate to tell, and or to work on. I wanted to work on something that I would enjoy. Hopefully something that would make people feel good, or just something that fulfilled me, right? So that's kind of what happened.
It's fair.
Mhm.
I get that.
Yeah, and it taught me that you know like I said, like I was going to give up on directing. I just had, it was just so frustrating and difficult. I had no interest anymore. But this project found me, and I think it goes to show that, like if you really are creative spirit, like it'll come back. It'll force its way back. And that's what happened.
That is a very director line. Like that is
Is
that
it?
is an artsy line. Like it just comes to you.
But it's true. But it's true, because honestly, I wasn't gonna do it. I wasn't gonna try to do it.
I don't doubt it.
It just goes to show. I mean, whether it's film or whether it's you writing a book or something, like, if it's truly within you, the creativity, it'll come, and it'll kind of force itself, on you.
Thank you. I liked that one a lot. Got another question.
Hi, my name's Lizzie. I'm currently undecided, but my question is, how were you able to find and cast the Cat Daddies for the film?
Yeah, so most of them I was already following on social media. And it's funny because I was not into social media until I started working on film festivals and being forced to learn social media while working on film festivals. And so along the way, I've just found cats and cat people that I like to follow. So Nathan the Cat Lady and Gold Kitty and some of these other people I was already a fan of, and it was just kind of a dream. Like I just like was just like, be so cool if they were all in a movie together, kind of fun kind of feeling. And so that's kind of where it took off. And then David in New York, David and Lucky, they were actually a tip from a woman that was trying to help him for a while get off the street. She's not in the film, but she connected us. She heard about my project. I was already filming, and she heard about it, I think, in the fundraising stage, like during Kickstarter, and she reached out and told me his story and said, he's kind of the perfect cat dad. Like he treats his cat, like his baby, and you should, talk to him. And at the time I was kind of hesitant because I was already cast up. I was already shooting. I was like, I don't see how this is going to work. And tonally, it doesn't work with what I'm going for. But then once you meet him and talk to him, it's just so clear that he's such a great, he has such a great screen presence. He just has this childlike innocence you just fall in love with. And we just thought, we if he wanted to be in it, to be a part of it, then we had to make room for him, and that maybe this would help him somehow.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Roan is next.
Hi, my name's Roan,
Hey.
and so I read in an interview that you did that part of your criteria for looking for people was also just to make sure that their cats were like not nervous and like so that you could film them. But so seeing this now with that in mind, and then even seeing like a short film that you did, A Cat in Love, I'm curious as to what tips you have for being able to keep cats or just animals in general, maybe like in the frame and being able to essentially shoot them as if they were like an actor or performer, like without a wrangler or a handler.
Yeah, getting the right crew and yeah, luckily I had some experience with the short films on working with cats and so kind of knew what it would take. And being a cat person myself, I have 6 cats. None of them like each other. And just knowing kind of like which cats to cast first of all and getting the right crew. My DP is not a cat person, but I had worked with him in some other crew level capacity, and I knew that he wanted to be a cinematographer. So, I offered this opportunity just based on his experience. It's beautiful lighting, really, and so and I knew he was a very patient person, very calm person. He was an animal lover. Just something felt right. It was just a little bit of a gut instinct, a little bit of just admiring his lighting work, just talking about the project with him and his passion for it, especially working on a very, very small budget. And then just knowing that we need to, how much we need to scale back. Having done micro budget narratives actually really helped because we knew like exactly how much equipment, we could do without. And that's what we did because we didn't want to spook the cats. And a lot of just like giving them the space to do what they wanted to do and just follow them. Really, we didn't want to do I can't remember an instance too much where we were like, okay, let's set the cat here, let's set the cat there. I mean, it was a lot of just like letting them do what they want and then just following them and waiting on them. And some of them did get spooked, actually. We weren't expecting them to, but then some of them did, like Flame the fire cat, I think, took, hid from us all day because this cat is very famous and well loved in the community. People stop by and see him all the time. They've had lots and lots of TV crews from around the world actually come to see this cat and film. And I think the cat was like totally over it by the time we met him. And he was just like, oh, another crew. And so he just hid from us, which was very unlike himself. So it just took a long time to get them to come around.
So you didn't like say like coerce Flame or anything into coming out, but you just kind of stuck around and just like
No,
kept.
no. Other than like maybe sometimes we use treats or a toy, but not too much. Yeah, and then Zulu, some of the cats like Zulu or Tor, I mean, they're just like super chill, super easygoing cats. More almost like more dog like if you want to say that, but so they were pretty easy. So, but thanks for noticing because I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult they are to film because they automatically want to turn away from the camera all the time. And so you just have to trick them or get them comfortable enough.
Awesome, good to know. Thank you, and I loved it, by the way. So
Oh,
great
thank
job.
you. Great.
Okay. Let's see. Suzanne likes the cat head. Oh, do we have any more? We have a shy audience here. Any more questions? I actually have one. You've mentioned the budget, but I don't think you said what the budget was.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put a number on it because I'm sure Duane has mentioned, that because when you're doing indie films like this, a lot of people are working for free or they're working for below their rate. And so, like, a lot of times, like, filmmakers don't want to give you the hard number because, like, it's not really reflective, right, of kind of what it takes to put on a movie. But I would say like, you know, this was like in the, I would say like roughly $50,000-$60,000 range. So very, very modest and very, you know, kind of engineered that way. It was kind of like, just from past experience, like I kind of know like how much we could, like it could make to break even, just through, you know, past projects that were distributed. And so I knew like I can't spend this much, like no matter what, I can't go above this amount. And so that's what happened. And but now I'm spending a lot more than that, just on the marketing, promotions, and advertising the film, getting it out there. But luckily, with the sponsor, most of it I don't have to repay. So, so it's just been a godsend to have that sponsor.
That's so cool. Sorry, yeah, I'll ask another one later if there's time. Micah.
Yes. So I was going to, your presentation was really thorough, and I always ask, when did the funding come in? That would normally be my question, but you answered it really well by just giving a history. That was pretty cool. I've never seen anybody on these Skypes go that far. Maybe I just haven't attended enough. Anyway, I have a question about, like, I looked up the Kickstarter that you raised 30,000. Now, how much of the money that you were able to keep from that, you know, after fees to Kickstarter, how much of the money that went to making this project came out of like your pocket? You know, like how much capital was required? How much did you have to bleed in order to make this work?
Well, a lot of it, you know, as you can maybe you notice in the credits that I wear a lot of hats, and I wear a lot of hats to save money. And so, you know, my husband is one of my producers. He also edited the movie with me. So we're not getting paid this whole year. We're making money in other ways, like shooting toys and, you know, whatever commercial work we can get. And so I will say, I should, because you brought this up, I will mention that before Kickstarter, I raised money from a friend slash investor who just loved the idea of the project. And he kind of gave us that seed money, like around 10 grand or so, to just start shooting. And so we shot with a couple of the dads. And then that way we had some footage to kind of put together, some footage for the Kickstarter video, also just sort of just to see if does this work? Like, can we actually make a story out of these guys? And so it was doing all that first that gave us the confidence, like, okay, we're going to keep going. We're going to do this Kickstarter. After the Kickstarter, I think I maybe had to ask for more money from friends or just pony up myself on credit cards. So definitely, like, I'm putting, you know, a ton of my own money into it. I probably, you know, to be honest, I have a lot of debt from this, and a lot of that's coming from film festival travel, actually. But, you know, after having spent, you know, 2 years of not being able to do film festivals, and after, you know, I Will Make You Mine got into South by, and we weren't able to do it that year because that was 2020. All these things, it was just like, okay, if I do actually get out there and get this out in person, I'm going to do it. And, you know, and does that mean I have to put some of this travel on credit card? Yeah. So if you include that, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of costs. There is a lot of bleeding, but it's just, I just also have so much confidence in the movie because of what I've seen from audience reaction and you know, and again, I spent relatively very little money making it, so I think I'm in a good position too. It's not like, you know, it's not like we spent 6 digits on it. And documentaries can be very expensive. A lot of luckily we didn't have to license a bunch of stock footage. We didn't have to license popular music. Everything was scored by a good friend, and so all this decision making, right, went into just knowing that I don't want to spend this much more than this much on this movie, and so I'm going to find creative ways. And if you're a good creative producer, you'll do that. And I mean, a lot of producing is just calling in favors. A lot of it is just having connections and calling in favors, but also being able to follow through. And a lot of the times, the reason I'm able to raise a lot of money is because part of it was my background in film festivals and running, those were nonprofits. So I'm just naturally a fundraiser working in nonprofits, and then doing film festivals, doing short films, like doing these micro budget films. So I have a track record of like finishing. That's the key, is like you have to do what you say and you have to finish. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you constantly start things and you don't finish, it's really hard to get a good reputation and get people to trust you and that they want to give you money. This was not my first Kickstarter. It was probably my 4th or 5th. So, but I can't go to the next Kickstarter unless the previous ones are done, right, and like delivered, and so it's all about your reputation and the relationships you build. I hope I covered your entire question, but
Yeah. If I can ask one more, if that's okay. It's that do you plan to go to network with it? Like, do you plan to release or ask Netflix to take your movie?
Yeah, so we sold the movie to a North American distributor, so it's all in their hands, and we'll see what they can do. But the course of action at this point is, they're going to get it on all of the platforms, the transactional platforms like Amazon, for rental, and Apple and all of those. And then eventually it may be picked up and licensed like from a streamer. Like they'll usually license like for a couple of years for X amount of money. So that's usually how that works. But one thing that people don't understand is that streamers they aren't really that interested in buying your movie because they're more interested in making their own content, which is what they're doing, what they're spending most of their money on. So I'm sure like it'll get there, but it's not going to be right off the bat, and it's actually wouldn't be the best financial decision to go to a streamer off the bat. So this is the plan of action, and it was mostly decided by the distributor that took their rights. Yeah. So at some point, like you have to let go, and then it's like somebody else's problem. But part of the reason why I'm going through the trouble of all this theatrical too is to kind of like maintain control over it. So for a little bit longer, I have control over how it's shown, where it's shown, and how we market it. Like the artwork that we use and everything like that.
Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
Cool.
How are you holding up, Mike?
Good.
I think there's just a couple more questions. Is that right, Annie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack? You online?
Hi, yeah.
Annie sees more questions than I do, so maybe not.
Oh, okay.
I was just wondering about how many hours of footage you shot for this and how difficult it was to pare that down to 90 minutes.
I want to say it's probably just under somewhere like maybe under 200 hours, which is not that bad for a documentary. And a lot of documentaries are shooting for 5 up to 10 years. So luckily I didn't have quite that much to deal with. And then also there were things that I didn't get to shoot that I wanted to, but we couldn't because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
So there was actually follow-up trips I wanted to do, and a lot of things that kind of was just getting canceled. And so we just kind of decided to just kind of go with what we have. And a lot of the decisions we were making also were because of David's situation, and we didn't want to wait too long for the movie to get out, so we didn't want to kind of wait until the pandemic was over, and that was a good decision in the end. Because in the beginning we thought, I think we all thought, oh, this will be a few months and then we'll be back to normal or whatever. And so yeah, so some of our decisions in the film, and like in just trying to finish, instead of waiting and shooting more, or getting all these things, it just had to be like, we just gotta let it go, because it's more important to get the story out during a time that it might help David.
Mhm. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we've got two more. Hayden. Okay, and Kira.
Hi, I'm Kira. I'm a senior and I'm in the producing track. Thank you so much for talking with us tonight. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But you went over a little bit about David's situation. But a little backstory. I've been like a really reluctant about doing documentaries, just because a lot of people are in really extreme situations that that at times I just kind of want to throw my money and help them out as much as possible. So how do you separate wanting to help people in their situations right away from just making the story that you set out to do?
Yeah, so yeah, David's situation is tough because like we obviously wanted to help him at the same time. Yeah, I probably broke some rules, ethically, by using this movie to help him. I think a lot of documentary filmmakers wouldn't do that, but I'm just sort of like, I don't care. And it's my first documentary, and I'm not like expecting to have a career anyway from this. So like, sort of like whatever happens, happens. If they criticize me, so be it. But I'm going to help this guy. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like we were like writing checks and like paying him or anything. But we did ask, I asked for donations from, all my friends and all my Kickstarter backers and just anyone who saw the movie, and we're asking, at Q&As and everything, and that's probably an ethical no-no, but I just to me, I didn't care. I didn't care if it jeopardized kind of my career or reputation. Because like I don't really have one in the first place. This is my first documentary, so so I don't have that to worry about. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and it's definitely on my mind, because at some point the lady that contacted me, who was running his GoFundMe, she was really she moved away from New York, and she was kind of desperately trying to get somebody else to take over the fundraising or the GoFundMe part. And I just said, that's kind of where I drew the line. I was like, I can't be that involved. So I couldn't, I definitely couldn't do that. But as far as just being the go-between and trying to get his story out and trying to get people to donate to his medical expenses. I also, like we sell things in our online shop to raise a little money for him. It's not much, but I'll do it. Probably not all filmmakers would, but I just think it's the right thing to do.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, and Hayden, sorry I didn't wait long enough. Is your mic working? Hayden messaged and said, okay. Wait a few more seconds. I had one more question. It's related to the toy industry. What toy company were you working for? Or have you worked for? Because it sounds like you've also done a lot of contracting.
It's a small one. It's called Cuddle Barn, and it's just it's actually a specialty. Yeah, they're not like a huge name brand company, but yeah, they're I was just really, really lucky that they helped me with that bandana project. But it's nice when kind of like all your worlds collide and it's just almost like that's producing too. It's just like making these connections, right? And tying things together and and just to make things happen, right? On the budget that you have. And that's what I learned all it is. I mean, most of producing. And then, there's nitty-gritty and boring paperwork and insurance and things like that. That's not fun, but but yeah, I think all of this is really it's all event planning, whether it's a film festival, making a movie, or getting your movie out, putting, it's all making a show.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, the connections.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Is that-
I
is
think
that
that's
it?
the last question
Go ahead.
unless anybody else has one.
Mye, thank you so much. I think you topped, I think you topped, what's his name? The guy we were just talking about last night who did Thunder Road.
Oh, Jim Cummings.
Yeah, I think you talked Jim Cummings in length. Yeah, I think you're our
love him.
longest CineSkype, thanks to your presentation, which added to it. Thanks so much for coming in. I want to talk to everyone here real quick about Sundance volunteering. So if you want to jump off, everyone, let's give her a
Thanks,
hand.
guys. Good luck on everything.
And, have a great flight to Japan on Friday, and it's been really lovely seeing you these past few days. So
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have fun.
so I just realized why I have this group of people who are like here. I don't know if everyone's heard that we are doing volunteering at Sundance this year again for the first time since COVID hit. And if you want to volunteer, you've got to get on the Facebook page to look at what I say. But essentially the key thing is you've got to sign up for it on their website, and you've got to let me know that you've done it. But if you go to the Facebook page and look at my little thing that I did about it a week or so ago, you could get all the specifics. But if anyone has any questions about that, I can answer them. But if you don't, then we can all just part and go on our way. But does anyone have any questions about volunteering for Sundance? I need to turn in a list by the end of this week. So if you're thinking about doing it, you got to do it right away.
So if
Yes.
I already applied but didn't put that we were going through the school because I was under the impression we weren't doing it.
Yeah, but it's on the application. You've used actually on the application now. Did you click UVU?
I must have. I don't remember now.
Just send me the information, and that's what they want. They want me to tell them who's on the list from UVU. So I need your UVU ID number, your email, and your phone number.
Sweet.
And that should be the email you gave them. All right. Anybody else?
I had a question.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, is this a part of our grade, or is it just a really cool opportunity that we can take care of?
It's just a really cool opportunity. It's
Okay.
volunteer.
I will definitely look into it. Thank you.
Well, look at that Facebook page. It happens the last 2 weekends of January. We volunteer at the Grand, which is a theater in Salt Lake. And even though when you sign up, you'll be agreeing to committing to 36 hours of volunteering, UVU students only have to do 24, so they're cutting us a real break. And at the Grand, we only have to volunteer on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. So that's also a big plus. Plus, we don't have to go up to Park City, and we get all sorts of perks. And so, yeah, if you have any questions about it, you can reach out to me. And I'm going to put my email here in the chat. And if anyone has any Sundance related questions or any related questions, if you don't have a class from me.
Hey, Duane, did you just want
yeah.
us to send our UVUID information to that email? Okay, then. Sounds good.
Yeah, just send it. Just say, hey, I signed up for Sundance. Here's my email, my phone number, and my UVUID.
Sounds
The
good.
UVID is just because there's no way I can really enforce this, but you really should, if you're volunteering as a UVU student, you really should be enrolled as a UVU student. But the fact is, once you're on their list as a volunteer, you're a volunteer and you're not really under the protection or auspices of UVU. You know, you're working for them. And so, but they do, but what happens is when we've had students I've had students apply to volunteer and then like screw things up. And even though I'm just a volunteer too, they always let me know about it. And so I just want to kind of know who's on that list and that they are students, etc. So anyway, any other questions about it?
You said it was on Facebook to get information about it?
The UVU Filmmakers Club Facebook page.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, I posted it about a week ago. And so
I'll check it out.
But just scroll through and find Sundance. And if you still have more questions, just reach out to me. Cool, man. All right, guys. Thanks for a great night, man. What a great CineSkype. Super fun. I was just at a festival last night in LA and for my movie, and Mye came with me as my +1. And so we were hanging out last night. And so it's very crazy to be with her in Los Angeles last night, and tonight I'm in Pittsburgh and we're Zooming. And so, good time. So, all right, guys, have a great night. Thank you, Annie. I really appreciate you did awesome in spite of all the stress. Thank you for dealing with all my stress beforehand. I didn't behave completely well.
We got through it.
We made it work. Yeah, thank you. You did great. We'll see everybody.
You guys.
Bye.
Oh, Annie, you could just save that. I mean, that once you stop recording, in fact, all this is being recorded, but once you stop recording, you can, that'll just save to the